Let me make a new one. Okay. So I would like to show today a new use case. It's an interesting one, and it's a very important one in the real world because when you are migrating a data from one source to another source, you need to, you need to do the data migration. As you know, data migration is always a big job, and there are two ways of migration, right? One is actually a real-time migration, and one is actually the near real time. I don't call near real time, let me call batch loading. So today, I would like to propose a new solution that will help you for the batch loading. When you say batch loading means like you are loading between the multiple databases, multiple servers, like in batch time, like maybe scheduled by daily or weekly or hourly, depends. So the best tool to schedule this process is Airflow, right? So to schedule your batch jobs easily. So today the use case is I'm going to take one RDBMS, one transactional database to a big warehouse. It's called, I'm taking suppose Snowflake. So the transactional database, whatever I'm taking today, just a simple light SQL light database. I can take this and then I want to load that into the Snowflake. So today we'll see different jobs. So we'll see the different jobs today about how we can transfer the data, how we can create our data and the transform and load. So suppose we have two things, right? One source and one is target. It's a destination. So in the source, I'll take database SQLite, and the destination, let me take it Snowflake. Snowflake is a warehouse, right? It's now very popular in the market. Um, like we are using this Snowflake almost more than 4 years. This is a big warehouse. Like we can integrate from multiple sources into single centralized storage. We can call this as a SSOT, single source of truth layers. So now here, now what I'm doing is I'm going to take the Airflow. Now my job is now take from the SQLite to the Airflow, and from the Airflow, we are sending into Snowflake. So this is very important scenario where you can do the batch jobs. If it is suppose some real-time requirement, okay, we'll use Kafka or the Kafka or different tools we have, we can integrate. But coming to the batch, we don't require the waste resources by using the real-time services. We can use very light services like Airflow. We can schedule the jobs. Okay, so let's see now how we can do it. So what are the steps on the both sides? So the first step is in the source, we need to create your databases, right? And next we need to create your table. And the next thing is you can load the data. That's the one thing. Okay, fine. Of course, the same steps in the right side, but um, I'm not going to load. Of course, I'm going to load the data, but it load through Airflow, not manually. Okay, so the loading will come automatically. So create database, yes. Create table, yes. It's a common. And remember always when you do data migration, the schema compatibility must be required. Source and destination schema has to be same. When I say same, it has to be compatible. Um, Now, when you load the data has to come and sit properly on the destination. So that we need to check different parameters when you're doing. So on Airflow, we'll make sure that we'll create the both connectivities and we'll do the data movement from source to destination. So we can give a title for this POC called uh, data migration architecture, something like this. Okay. Okay, right. Now let's start doing this. So now let's see. I'm going to,
Sorry to
I'm
interrupt.
sorry.
This,
Yeah.
if that's okay, this airflow can act as a ETL, or like we can creating any triggers by using this Apache Airflow.
So Apache Airflow is act as scheduler, act as triggering, act as ETL. So we can do
Okay,
everything. We can
okay.
do the whole, because at the end of the day, we are using the in the Airflow, we are using the Python operators. So So by using the Python operators, you can do ETL. When I say ETL, you can extract from the source. You can transform by using pandas, and you can use the Python functionality. And you say load. Of course, we will the after the transformed result, we're going to sync the data into destination. Yes, we can do it. So it means Airflow work as a orchestration tool to organize, to schedule, to put the dependencies of all your tasks and the DAX, we call as DAC, direct acyclic graph. So it can handle the data movement very easily. So this is mainly used for data movement from one place to one place. But while movement, if you have any requirement about data cleansing activities, data transformation activities, you can do. But but the recommended approach is just a lift and shift process. It's not about like doing complex transformations. Of course, if your business requirement have that type of requirement, yes, you can do. But always remember when you are doing a migrating a data, always recommended to do it as is process. When I say as is, you first take the source and put in destination, you can do the transformations on the destination.
Mm-hmm.
Like even
Yeah.
here, even here we can make the three different layers in the snowflake, right? We can make a raw layer, transform layer, or the master layer. So we can do the multiple layers also, um, that you can do. Let me just add this one also. It's a good point to add. Yeah, this one, right? We discussed. um, we can just add it here. We don't require pipe now because we are not doing real time, we just patch. So by this way, you can actually do it, the loading. So if you go this way, like we recommend just use only for lift and shift. They just do as is process. So if you say this is like a raw layer, and so this is like stage layer, and this is like a presentation layer. Okay, so you can do like this type of process. You can just import as is, and then you can use the by using the scheduler within a Snowflake or stored procedures, tasks. There are a lot of things in the Snowflake. You can use it for the transformations, and you can integrate it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now let me go through the process of how can you do this first, creating the setup and connectivities. As I said, I have already the Snowflake accounts, Snowflake login. You'll get the URL, so you can log in, or you can go the other way. Is second. Yeah. After you register Snowflake, you'll get the URL like this. You can just log in. Let me copy this login and I can paste here. Yeah. So I have a account. This create a worksheet. We'll discuss these things later. Okay, ignore this. These old session things. Okay, now this is my Snowflake source underscode database, and I have a source underscore schema, and have a table. Just have few tables in this. Okay, now my requirement is now I'm going to create a SQLite first. I'm going to insert the data. I'm just going to create and insert the data in SQLite, and that data I want to load into the Snowflake through using Airflow. That's the job. Okay, now I'm going to create a DAG first. Nothing but create a Python job. Just like a direct acyclic graph, right? So what is my job is SQLite to Snowflake migration Python file. Okay, that's a Python job. So let's divide this job into multiple tasks. Let's do multiple tasks first. The first task is I'm going to create and insert into SQLite. That's the first stop, first job. And next I'm going to extract the data from the SQLite, and I'm going to prepare SQL task for Snowflake. And next I'm going to create a table in the Snowflake. Actually, I'm doing everything in the code itself. I'm not doing anything manually in the Snowflake. We can do it, but I'm just preparing more tasks in the Airflow. Like I'm automating everything. I'm just automating everything in the Airflow, all our tasks. Normally, the table has to create in the Snowflake directly. We can load the data, but instead of that, in the Airflow itself, I'm creating this stuff. Okay, now I'm just load data Snowflake. Suppose just you can give your own names. That's fine. So these are all the 5 tasks we need to do, and all this within a DAG we are creating. Within the DAG we are creating actually. So this is task 1. this is task 2. Task 3. Task 4. Task 5. Okay, good. So now we have dependency. Remember, we have dependency, right? Task 2 has dependency task 1. Okay, so this is the dependencies we have. So the same order, we have to create the tasks in the DAG. Okay, first I'm going to create the DAG. So what I can do is I can just use our other jobs packages. So where is our job? SQL. Yeah, here. Just using DAG, timing. Those are some default packages. And can I take some default arguments? Yeah, I can take this default arguments with the DAG details. It's a common for all the jobs. Mm, yeah, we need to add more anyway, but I'm just making some stuff directly. Okay, let me add few things. So, so you see days ago it's showing warning. Okay, let me add that package from Airflow. Um, dot utils dot dates import dates underscore echo. Okay, now it's fine. Okay. Okay, what next? So I'm changing the DAG. So this is my DAG name. It's asking DAG ID. Just copying that. I can use that directly. Okay, perfect. So now in the DAG, we have 5 tasks, right? So first, let's create a simple task. For schedule intervals, I'll just give, you can give daily, okay? Or you can give weekly, okay? Or monthly, anything. Okay, I'm just giving only once, just for now. Okay, right. Now I'm going to create a DAG in the tasks. What's the first task? Insert, okay? Let me take insert underscore task. Okay, I'm going to use the Python operator because it's a Python job, right? First job is Python job because SQLite is a simple, lightweight database. By using Python, you can create directly. There's advantage. You can use. I mean, here we can use any transactional databases. Okay, so we can use the Postgres. I think in the previous sessions we discussed the Postgres connectivities as well. Okay, so we can use anything Oracle, SQL, Teradata, anything, any source database, the same process. Only thing will change the connection process, connection details will change. Remaining the process is similar. We'll discuss in other later things if you have any requirement about any database related things. But now let me take this simple one now for now. So now I'm going to use a Python operator. Yes, and I'm just taking default arguments is default arguments because here I passed my default arguments already. So, and just define some description. So, we have to follow some standards when you're writing the code, because that will help for the other team members in the real time. They can understand when you're seeing the code. Some of the description has to specify, okay, this task is for create SQLite and load data. Just a high level information is fine because anyway we'll maintain some documentation when you define the code, uh, right? So you can just use it. Okay, now I'm going to use a Python callable. I don't require to put everything, the whole job here. I'll just call a function. So I can call create insert data into sorry, SQLite. SQLite. Okay, so this is the function. Of course, the function is not ready. Now we are going to create. So let me call define. I'm calling a function in the SQLite. I'm going to create a database, and I'm going to load table also. Create database, create table, load data as well. So the multiple things will do in the same function. That's why I called one function, create, insert data, both. So here, first let me take an engine. As I said, it's a lightweight engine. Using a Python itself, we can create this engine in our machine. So I'm creating the engine, SQLite. Okay, where is creating? So I'm going to create into my Docker. As I said, Airflow is running on my Docker. Okay, right now it's my empty, right? But I have a Docker Composer file. I can just up-d. So this is nothing but I'm installing a Docker. If you see, all the Dockers, required Dockers are installing. Yeah, see all the greens, all the greens. This is not mandatory, but let's see. Let me run again. So it can come green as well, right? Okay. So here I'm calling a function. So in the worker, this is my worker, right? So this worker, the worker is going to work your jobs, execute your jobs, right? So now I'm going to Docker PS, it will give system names. And this is my worker name. Just copy the worker name. Let me go into the Docker execute -it and paste your worker name and bin bash. Right. If you see, before it is in my Venkata mission, but now within the Airflow mission. Okay, so what is the path? Present working directory, OPT Airflow. So now I'm asking this mission install in the SQLite server in the OPT Airflow. I can call that the SQLite server.db. Okay, so if you check, do we have that server? No, I don't have anything with that name. After I execute this DAG, this will create the engine. Okay, now I'm going to take the metadata. Metadata. So let me pass that first. So now let's say my server is created, create engine is created, but you see, when you see these warnings, it means it is expecting some functional, some package. Okay, so let me define for now. Okay, Python operator is not defined. Okay, let's import. Where is a Python operator from? Airflow dot operators. All the operators are directly from the Airflow operators, and from here you can go depend upon your operator. Okay, this is the Python underscore operator. I'm going to import Python operator. Now see, there's no error. Next, create engine, because the SQL engine. Let's import from SQL Alchemy. Import create engine. See, now we don't have that. And same way, call the metadata also. Metadata. Yeah, see, don't have warnings. So it's not required to start from here always. I always start with the code directly And when I see if you have any things, then I can import it. It's not because I see in other team members when you see in the real time, they'll just use hundreds of packages, but you're not using. It's unnecessary burden to the server. Always make sure that you just use whatever you're using in the code. So okay, that's good. Now the first task is I'm going to create engine. Yes, ready. Now I'm going to create the table. So let me call some table called users underscore table. Okay, I'm just calling the table name. Suppose, okay, let me take some sample data. It doesn't matter what it is. So I'm just taking users and I'll call the metadata information. So just give the name. So I'm taking the column. Suppose I'm taking ID. What is the type? Integer. Do you have any requirements? Normally in the transaction databases, we'll define primary key, right? On the source side, true. You have any auto increment? As you know, we will use auto increments if required. That's true. Like nothing but ID. When you insert this data again, the ID will increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, continuously it increase. Okay. And what are the other columns? I can take other columns. Again, remember, we don't require to use Python for these type of things. You can directly on the source side, the table, if the table is ready, you can just use it only the insert statement. But now what I'm doing is I'm just doing everything in Airflow because you will get to know how we can do this in real world. Maybe the table is already ready, the data is already ready. You can just use insert statement. But now I'm covering everything here with this process. You can eliminate few things when you are using this code in the real time. Suppose you're using only insert. You don't require to create the engine, table, these things. You can directly use insert. From the next line, we're going to see that. So maybe if you have any requirement to use create the table also from this, then you can use everything. Okay, I'm just taking the name. I'll just take one more column and then it's fine. Doesn't matter how many columns we'll take. So I'm just taking age. This is fine. If you see, we got all the warnings are with directly called from the SQL Alchemy. I guess just use integer, copy paste, string. You can use it for column. All this coming from here. Okay, even the table. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to say to the metadata create all engine. So I'm asking the engine, can you create this table, including this metadata, which means column name, data types, requirements, and everything. And once you create this, I'm just going to ask engine, connect the engine, alias, I'm just calling a connection. Why? Because I want to insert the data. Execute. What is the table name? Users table. I can just use it directly. What do you want the action you want to do? I want to insert the data. And what are the values you want to insert? Okay, as I already mentioned, ID as auto increment is not required to mention because it's auto by default. When you insert a new record, automatically the ID will increase. Suppose I'm just calling Venkata name and age 35. And now I'm inserting, suppose Raj 40, suppose something like this. So this is just creating and loading a data into SQLite. Okay, so now let me execute this task first. Okay, first we'll execute this task. Then you'll get to know what happened until now. I'm just calling this task. When you call in the down, I'm just calling this task. Okay. So let me exit from the Docker. I exited from the Docker. That's fine. Now the Docker is working fine. Okay. Now what is the port number to go to your UI? Localhost 8080. This is a UI portal. Airflow, login name, username Airflow, password Airflow. Looks we got some error. What is this? Task ID. Yeah, I gave him his task ID, right? Because for DAG, there is our yeah, and for DAG, we have DAG ID, this one. For the task, need to give task ID. Nothing but you can give anything. I'm just giving the same name. Always, always recommended to use your DAG ID, same as your DAG name. Your task ID, same as your task name. I mean, it's not mandatory. You can change, but it's always easy to remember the naming conventions. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, still we have one more error. Okay, the description. What is the issue with the description? So the description, I think spell mistake. So now on this one, recalling any problem here? See. In the DAG, for task, you don't give DAG description. Don't require task description. Okay, we don't have any else. These two are different jobs anyway. What is our tag name? SQLite to Snowflake migration. SQLite to Snowflake migration. So we have one task, right? Let me switch on. Just refresh. So see success. When you start your DAG, when you switch on, the DAG will trigger immediately and then the job will work. Or if it is not triggered, you go and trigger here. Right in the grid, you can see the job is success. Go to the graph and check the log. Okay, so what is this tag is doing? If you check here, it is dependence all the mat. Of course, I'm not asking to display anything. I'm just asking to execute the insert task only. So marking the task as success. Okay, I'm just making sure that this task is success. Then we can go with the next task, and then we can put all the dependency tasks. So it means so this task is success. So we can just you can say this is completed. Okay, next I'm in the second task called extracting. So second task, I'll put the dependency like this, and I'll call extract task. And now, like the same insert task, I'm going to call same extract task, Python operator, yes. And what is your job? So I can take it. This is a task two. So I can call extract data from SQLite. And I'll call this a function, right? Now I'll go again. This is the first function completed, and I'm going to do it this new function called extract. Okay, so in the first function, we create an engine, we create a table, we loaded two records, right? Now my job is go and extract the data and loading into your data frame using pandas. Okay, why? Because I want to use the data frame. I'm reading a data, nothing but so this data I'm extracting, and the second job is in the Airflow. In Airflow, what I'm doing in Airflow, I'm extracting data and then loading into pandas. I can call data frame. I can call this data frame, and then the data frame. Once data frame is ready, I can make sure that get a next task to push this data frame. So we can insert the data by this way because this is like a staging area. When you're loading from one database to one database, there must be a staging area required where it can sit and go. So now Airflow is the staging area. It is coming here and then it is going to Snowflake. Okay. On the second task, I'm going to extract the data. So here we can just let me call the engine. I'll just call this engine because from this engine, it's a different function, right? So I'm calling the same engine. Okay, but here I'm just going to just query the query equal to select star from what is the table name? Users underscore table. Right. Perfect. Now data frame, pandas, right? Data frame equal to pd dot read underscore SQL of this query. So same thing we used in the SQL Server, Oracle, Teradata, doesn't matter. We use the same thing, right? So pd dot read SQL and you query. Once your engine is created, any engine, right now SQLite engine, but any engine, once you create, you follow the same procedure. So once this data frame is ready, now what I'm calling is here records. I'm just taking this data frame to dictionary format, and then I'll say orient equal to records. Okay, and let's take the arguments, KW arguments called ti dot xcom underscore push as key. So, okay, what is this xcom underscore push? So this is nothing but this is a communication um, thing where we have used multiple connectivity with multiple systems. So basically, this is pushing. When you got the new record, it is going to push the next job. This is called like a cross communication. This X is nothing but a cross communication. So this is nothing but when we have a small amounts of data between the flow, this XCOM will push from one task retrieved by the other tasks. So now here I'm asking, once you receive this record, you push the next tasks like that. So um, it is nothing but storing the piece of your data from one task in the task instance. Um, Other tasks later, for example, this is pushing, right? There is a one more task called pulling. Okay, so XCOM underscore pull. This is nothing but a pulling. So this task is pushing when you see the new record, and this task is pulling. So this is a communication between the two tasks. Even if you don't put the dependencies, this can trigger based on this communication. Okay, so and all the data is pushed by any serialized format by the order. So we will use this format for the this type of activities. So now as extracting, because I'm pushing here to Snowflake, before that, I'm just making sure that the data frame is ready and is pushing. And my next task is actually pulling. So I'm pushing here. That's it. Okay, right now, I'm just taking the key, xcom underscore push. Okay, what is the tasks IDs? So equal to, what is my task ID? Extract task, right? Extract tasks and the key equal to SQLite. As I'm just pushing, I can just give only key directly. So I'm sending the key. By using the key, it can capture while pulling. So SQLite data. So as I'm pushing only the records, we got the records here, right? Nothing but the output of this task simply. Okay. Okay, this task is done. The extract task is done. See, pandas has warning, so it means the package is you have not used. Okay, and even this one arguments. So this by default we have Python operator. That's fine. Some things it will take automatically. Don't require to specify. Okay, and the push is done. Extracting is done. Let me go directly with the next task called, what is our next task? Prepare SQL tasks. Suppose I'm just closing second one and prepare SQL tasks. Take the same thing. Most of the things are reusable, so that's good in Python always. Now I'm going to take the task 3, prepare SQL task. So I'm going to call prepare SQL tasks. And here I can call prepare Snowflake SQL. As a function, yes, I'm going to call def function. So on this one, I'm going to pull it right from the SQLite server. So we don't require to put the communication because the communication is actually this is sending by push and the Snowflake is catching by pull. So what we can do here directly, I can directly call a variable called records. And if you see, there is no relation between these two functions. So this is separate and this is separate. Okay, so I'm going to call the records. What I can do is I can just use ops and I'm going to call TI functionality called xcom underscore pull, right? So pushing, pulling from the Snowflake side and define what is the task side is. Which task is actually pulling from? Extract task. So give the task name, not function name, task, extract task. So this Snowflake task is pulling from the extract task. And give the key to catch. We have already mentioned the key from here. Use the same key. Nothing but this is calling extract task. In the extract task is already calling this function and checking what is the key and taking the records. And the records are coming into these records. That's it. Okay. done. Now my job is SQL statements. I'm going to generate a SQL statement. So I'll just call for record in the records. If you have a more records also, it should be fine. I'm going to create a SQL statements. I just use insert into users, taking ID, comma, name, comma, age, values of record ID, right? First field is ID, and I can take record underscore name. Okay, I can just open this one. I can just reuse this, and we can put the age. As it's not string, only for the string we put the single quotes, and IDs and age is fine as integers. Okay. Now what we can do is I can just close it, put the slash in, and close braces. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so this is nothing but for every record, it is going to insert the data. And the next task is, so this is actually pulling, right? And the same task is going to push the next task. So I can just use the same statement. What is our next task? Is nothing but like loading into the Snowflake, right? So let me directly call arguments. I'm calling the push key Snowflake underscore SQL, and the value is actually the SQL statements. It's going to execute nothing but. So by this task 3 is going to prepare your SQL. So I'll put the dependency here like this. Okay. Until now, have you used Snowflake operator? No, because first we used Python operator to create and insert in the SQLite server. Python can do, and this is extracting from the SQLite, make a data frame pandas, and this one we are just preparing the SQL statements to insert the data. Now, this is the time to start your actual Snowflake things. So, but in Snowflake, we discussed two tasks, right? Create your table and load the data. So create database I have already available. We did already manually in the Snowflake. You can use it. So now create table and then load data. So here, first let me create a table task. Create table task. And I'm copying the same. I can use it. And I'm using create table tasks. Just replace it. Replace it. And here, actually, I'm not using Python operator, right? So I say Snowflake. We're going to use Snowflake operator. So Snowflake operator. So here, the task ID is fine. You don't require any default arguments. And now this is actually Snowflake, right? The process will change. So what is the connection? Snowflake underscore connection ID. Snowflake connection. We need to create a connection. I'll show you create connection how we can do from UI by using Snowflake logins. And I'm asking before you need to insert, the table has to be ready, right? So I'm just create or replace table called users. Uh, ID as a integer, and name as a string. Let me use lower cases. String and age as integer. Okay, so this is like create statement, and I'm closing this. So when you call this task first will create the SQL, and then it will go to the next process. So this is only for creating a table task, right? So using the Snowflake connection, we're creating. If you see the operator is warning, we have not imported that. So yeah, so you can use a Snowflake operator here. As I said, same from the Airflow operators only. From operators, you can use actually providers because Snowflake is a provider. In the Snowflake provider, we have an operator. Operators, Snowflake. And I'm going to import Snowflake operator. Perfect. So we're going to use Snowflake operator. Yes, Snowflake operator, snow warning. Okay, now we are come to the end. The last task is actually loading. Load task. Load task. Okay, load task is also a Snowflake tasks. I can directly use this one. Load tasks, load task. We don't require the SQL because this is a create table statement. Yes, Snowflake connection ID equals Snowflake connection. And what you want to do in the load tasks. I'm going to trigger. I'm going to trigger the XCOM pull to insert the data from what task IDs. What is in my previous task? It's called prepare task, right? Let me check prepare SQL. Prepare SQL tasks. I'm calling this function prepare SQL task ID, nothing but yeah, prepare task ID. So from the prepare task SQL task ID, because there is the insert statement we created, right? Yeah, here we use the insert statement we created for Snowflake related. So I'm calling that tasks to execute. That's it. In the Snowflake. We can create the manually, but we don't know what is coming from the SQLite, right? So we're automating the process actually. For example, if you know the record something, we can just directly load, but this is something we are creating automatically. Don't confuse here. I know this is required practical. So I'll share this code and the procedure, everything. You please practice this in your machine by pieces wise. That's why first I presented this, how the task is running. Actually, you can work each one separately, not separately, like first one, do first one. Once first one is ready, do these two and execute and see the results and use these three, execute and see. These are all actually, you can't see anything from the actual results, but you can see the log, how the log is showing. That's important. Now we're going to execute now and we'll see. So you see any errors or warnings? I don't see anything issues. Okay, now is the time. So create insert data, we have already verified it's working, extracting, preparing, creating, everything. So we extract the data, we prepared the Snowflake SQL statements, we prepared the um, create table Snowflake statements, and load data Snowflake statements are ready. Perfect. It looks good. Now let me go to the job. Where is our DAG? This one. If you go to the graph, now you'll see the 5 jobs. Looks we got some error. What is this? Okay. Task object function object has no attribute. Update related. Check again. Edge modifier. Okay. Let me just broken DAG. So SQLite Snowflake. Yeah. Let me just refresh once. Okay. Let me just check the high level. If you have anything is missing, create engine table is all fine. So here we use the OPT Airflow, and we discussed we don't have that in the our server. It is creating from Python by itself. So we extracted the data. Okay, and we are preparing the Snowflake. So basically, these arguments is actually has to come from the function, right? Because it's actually following the functions. Okay, and in the task 3, yes, we are preparing the Snowflake SQL. Yeah, it's not big task. Let me refresh. I think still have something. Okay, from Airflow, we have imported the Python operator, Snowflake, and SQL. We have engine, table, column, string, data. Okay, we imported days ago. Yeah, good. Do we have time delta? Yeah, complete time delta. So users underscore table, and here we use users column ID. Essentially, you need to pass the variables with the asterisks. Then only it can capture. Okay. Now just check again. I hope it's not any version issue. In Python, the problem is always we'll get a version problem. SQL statements. And for recursive SQL statements. Insert into users, values. Don't see any issues here. So matter. And with the tag, check the tag details with the tag. So with the tag, description is fine. Default documents is fine. Didn't trouble. Okay, alias tag. Subtask Python operator. Not required. Must just. I can just put the comma because in the task is always you have to put. I think I missed here as well. So in the task 2, you call the Python operator. Okay, just define provide context true so that it can take directly without verifying. Even here as a Python operator, I can use this. Yeah. Sometimes it will not refresh. Just up Docker to make sure that it is catching the new updates. So create table tasks, Snowflake operator. So it's always check every task. Like instead of now I'm checking everything. It's always check the every task. After every task, just refresh and go to the tag and see if any errors. And you can come to the like we did the first one, same way, right? The same way you can use it. So Snowflake connection ID, this will create anyway now in the server. So SQL equal to XCOM full tasks ID is prepare SQL tasks, command key. Take the key once. Snowflake SQL, correct. Snowflake SQL is correct. Yeah, we missed comma here also. Okay, let me refresh. Oh, I don't know why it's going away because it has to be in the tag. It's coming out of the tag. Just hit check the healthy. Let me do one thing. Just let's down and up the cluster. The tags, yes, SQLite. What is it actually? SQLite to Snowflake migration. Okay. Okay, let me down first. I can say down, it's like deleting. And now I'm going to up. just to make sure that it's catching the changes, because sometimes it will not capture that immediately. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to re-log in. It will take few seconds. Okay, airflow, airflow. Okay, yeah, still I see the three. Ah, this one, yeah. Function objective has no attribute. Update relative. I think it's a Airflow models issue. What is the model we have imported? Have we imported and Airflow operators, Python, and for Snowflake, Airflow providers. Airflow imported. Okay. Hmm. Let me just put the documents first. So I hope the namings I've used. Okay, this is calling this function. The extracting side. The engine, check this engine slashes also, because sometimes take differently. This table name is users, right? Users, sorry. So this is nothing but we just stored the script, but the table name is users. Okay, let's see. So on the SQL query, always remember when you are giving the read SQL, you need to specify what is where the engine. If you see it is in the light mode, right? Engine. It means it's not used anywhere. So let's define now. Okay. So on the records we have, I'm just using the push. Okay, good. Prepare SQL, Snowflake SQL using the arguments. I'm pulling the data, and the tasks ID is just verify what is the tasks, extract task, yes. And the key SQLite data, okay, because it's, yeah, it's pushing and it's pulling, okay. SQL statements, just always define something. And the for statements, so inserting into the users table, ID, name, age, values of, records of ID, record of name, record of age, So this is actually pushing with the key called Snowflake underscore SQL, and the value is actually SQL statements. That's it, and the DAG actually with the DAG, you just pass the order, or else maybe I don't think this is a problem, but make sure that um scheduled interval equal to select once, alias tag. Okay, I think here we have some problem. Uh, with oh, missed comma. Okay, okay. So I'm inserting task as a Python operator, task ID, Python callable, and extract tasks, provide context to, and Python operator extracting data. Prepare SQL tasks, Snowflake SQL, and finally create table tasks, Snowflake operator, equal create. Okay. Just extract task, yes. Prepare SQL tasks, create table tasks, yes, and find it out tasks, yes. I don't think see any issue in this, to be honest. Let me just check if it's any Airflow issue, Airflow version issue, because sometimes, oh, did I change any format? Okay, this is the problem. You see, a single error. I think so. Let me check. I think there is a problem. Sure. Let me refresh. Oh, I think not. Check again. Two. Okay, let me. Okay. check what is the difference should be set only between operators. Did I miss any task ID anywhere? Task ID, task ID, task ID. I used all the task IDs with the tag alias. Done. So task, extract tasks, create SQL tasks, create table tasks. Oh, did I mention task ID in the tag? No. So with the tag, we to use this called default arguments. Is actually default arguments. Description. What's the description? Schedule interval at once. Yeah, I think this is cool. I think previously that is the issue. Let me just up and check is it capturing. Or let me just delete this and see how it will take. Yeah, see now there's no error. You see? So okay. So it means the order something has some problem. Actually, we used already XCOM pull and push. We don't require that to be honest, but let's see how we can do. I think the names we defined is wrong. What is our tag name is SQLite to Snowflake. See now it's working after I removing. But see there is no dependencies. Let me call one by one. So first let me call what is the first task is insert what is this? Create table task. Create table. Oh yeah, in the insert task. Ah, okay. I called actually previously function, not the task. That's why we got error. Okay, now let's see. Let me call tasks. So this is the task, insert task. In the insert task, the function is create insert and data load into SQLite. And now extract task. Put only the task names. Prepare SQL tasks and create table tasks. Load tasks. So always give some space, 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 space. Yeah, I think this will work now. Refresh, see, yes. So previously the mistake is instead of giving a task name, I gave the function name. That's why see the function is yellow. So the task is blue color. Okay, now everything fine. I'm just running the DAG. When you run the DAG, you can if you go to the grid, you can see the task is started. Within a seconds, the task will run. So insert task means this is actually going to call a function called create table, load data into SQLite. Extract task is going to select your data from the SQLite using pandas. Prepare SQL based on this selection. It is going to prepare a SQL statement for the Snowflake. But if you see, the three tasks are good. The fourth task is actually failed. So it is trying to reconnect actually. So if you see the color defined up for retry. If you go check in the logs, it's okay. Let's go step by step log. First, just check the log. So this log is actually created the tasks table created, and extract task is actually going to extract your data. And the next thing is prepare SQL statements is actually preparing the SQL statements. And now this one is error. log, check the log. It is trying to create the table where in the Snowflake. Okay. Now what is saying? The Snowflake connection ID is not defined. Got it? Yes.
Yes.
We have not defined the Snowflake connection, but what is the name we have defined in the code?
Snowflake underscore.
Snowflake connection, yes. So now we go to the connections, click plus, connection ID. It has to match with your connection details. Connection type, Snowflake, yes. So yes, schema, login, password, and account, warehouse, you have to give all the details. Okay. If you go to my Snowflake, you can see here what is my role, account admin. What is my warehouse, computer warehouse. What is my database name, Snowflake source underscore DB. Schema name, source schema. And user and password, I'm already logged in with this. Normally in real time, they can generate the keys or they can give a default some other user creation for this purpose. Mostly they give the keys. Okay, now I'm going to use it for my logins. Okay, connection type schema. Okay, the schema is source schema, right? Source schema. Yes, source schema. Okay, and login is my actually my login. Um, Password is my system password. The account is actually uh, two ways you can check. One, you can check this is account. Or the easiest way is you can just go to your mail and you can capture the account details from here. Yeah, you can just use it. This is account. The starting of the URL is actually account. Okay, now remove the dot. Yeah, just account. Even you can see here, it's the same. This one dot, this one actually. You can see account dot or account name, group name. Yeah. Now, okay. Warehouse is actually compute warehouse, right? In the Snowflake, compute warehouse. Database name, source underscore DB. Region, actually, these are not mandatory, all these. Um, if you give some details, like mainly on the start things and login passwords, accounts, it should be fine. Okay, you can test now. I'm tested just now. It's saying connect successfully test. Um, okay, okay, I'm saving the connection. Now, let me go to the DAG. Now we go to the DAGs, active one, like what is the currently right now we are running. It's still running. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. Go to the active one. Just why it's slow. I think the doctors are taking. Just consuming 4 GB RAM around only, but just stopping here for me. Require that. Just doing. A long time I see my mic is slow. I'm just downing. Okay. Just go to the containers. Right. Okay. Workflow. Workflow. Okay. Put my login. Snowflake. Okay. Okay. I'm just taking this login. This one. Okay. If you go to the worksheet and if you go database and my schema, I don't have user table, right? Okay. Now once we
Yes.
trigger the DAG, now you'll get. You check web server. Why it is trying to connect the URL. You just restart on the web server. So this web UI is connected with web server. See, after restart, I got this one working. Then now it's trying to reconnect again. Okay, now it's connected again. Okay, so SQLite Snowflake migration. Yes, this is the DAG we have. Go to the graph, and now it's before it's failed, right? Because of the connectivity issue. I think now we have a connection. If not, yeah, I think the connection is good. So normally, sometimes when you down your Docker, sometimes it loss. But we have, as we have not deleted volumes, it will available. So it should be fine. We can number of times you can down and up. So if you see this grid now, see, uh, we can go to the graph. These three are done and this is running. Where this is running on the Snowflake side. Okay, we got one issue. What is that? So Snowflake connection started good and the connection ID okay. Create or replace table. Query execution done. Okay, what is the problem? The session does not have a current database called use database. Okay. So it means connection is good, but in the code, um, where is our code? This is create table. Okay. Let's do one thing. In the insert statement, you can just use it database name. So let me just go to the refresh. Did you receive? Let me go to the connection. Check the connection. Database name. We can give Snowflake's, let me use Snowflake source underscore DB. So Snowflake source underscore DB. Give the password again. When you are retrying, just give the test. Okay, it's connected. Save. Go to the tag. Just retry again. So you can check all the tasks. See here, this is created now. Now data is loading. The green means running. The data is loading.
Oh, okay.
Now, yeah, everything is done. So that the issue is before is actually I've given the wrong database name. So you can give in the code, actually, in the code you can define use database, use schema, or in the connection itself we can give. Normally we do in the connection itself because we have a dedicated database, dedicated table. Okay, now let's refresh. I don't have any table with the users. If you refresh, you can see users, right? And you see we got 6 records already. So select star from users, right? See, I got data. So I
Okay.
just give why I got the multiple records similar because an ID is incremented. If you see, because in the code we defined incremental ID and we executed that 3 times. So we got that incremental ID, but we can change based on the requirement. If you see in the SQL itself, when we create our table, we used auto increment true. So like whenever you run multiple times, the ID will increase. Basically, in the real time, we will not use an insert statement. We'll just put the link to the table because the data is already in the table. So you don't require to insert by this code. But now here we're covering all the steps to make sure that nothing we are doing from uh, the database itself. But in real time, the table is ready, database is ready, your source data is ready. You just need to create only the loading process, not required create insert. So the extraction is only required actually. You don't require this one. This function is not required in the real time. You used extract and you used the prepare SQL. And then even this one is not required because remember creating tables is always a manual. When you say manual, again, we use CI/CD pipeline, the sure. But at the end of the day, you have to execute through script only, the table, not through this, not through Python. That has to come directly in the server itself. But loading a data, it can come from anywhere, right? When you use a Python functionality, I can do it from Oracle, SQL, Teradata, anything. But schema has to be static, and that has to be handled by developer side only, not into this ingestion layer. So yeah, so by this way, so we have achieved the process of migrating a data um, for the creating from the SQLite to Snowflake directly, and and then you can do multiple tasks and the stored procedures. We'll see in the after some session. We'll see in the future sessions about how we can create the stored procedures, internal tasks, and schedules, streams. The important topic called streams, automating the internal tasks because we got the raw data. So what is the next step? You need to apply some cleanse activities, the transformations, all these things we can check it. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have any questions, please ask me. I'll share this code and this video. Yeah, please practice. Sorry, I took the more time today. Just make
Sure.
sure that to complete everything in one session. Yeah. Okay.